Good day, and welcome back to Vazura Recaps. Today I'm going to talk about Jason, a typical 18-year-old who is casually hanging out and video chatting with his pal who deals in illegal narcotics. Jason agrees in his teenage nonchalance when his friend asks whether he can receive a delivery at his apartment. Meanwhile, we meet Jason's father, John Matthews, a hard-working construction firm owner. He notices one of his employees, Daniel, straining to load cement bags into a car after a long day at labor. Despite his exhaustion, John steps in and assists Daniel, earning his gratitude. A delivery is delivered to Jason's residence by a messenger. Jason happily opens it, only to discover a camera and a narcotics cache inside. When he discovers the camera, he realizes he's strayed into a police station. Fearing the worst, Jason flees in a panic, but the police are hard on his tail and eventually catch him. Meanwhile, at a social function, John receives an unnerving message from his ex-wife, Sylvie Collins. Jason, their son, has been detained for drug trafficking, she informs him. As he rushes to the police station, he runs into his lawyer, Jay Price, and his ex-wife. Jay reveals the situation. Jason was not involved in drug sales. Rather, his alleged friend set him up in order to lessen the harshness of his own sentence. Jason is facing significant allegations that could land him in prison for at least 10 years. The only possible escape path appears to be convincing Jason to work as bait to catch greater people in the drug business. Consumed by guilt and worry for his son's safety, John tries desperately to persuade their attorney, Jay, that Jason is simply an ordinary young guy who got mixed up with the wrong gang. However, Jay simply explains the grim reality. Jason's best hope of a reduced term rests on his assistance in catching more drug dealers, as he was caught red-handed with a considerable amount of drugs. Jason finds himself in court as the wheels of justice turn quickly, where the judge advances his trial date, but orders him to remain detained until then. John, Sylvie, and Jay meet to explore Jason's choices, hoping to encourage him to help take down other drug traffickers in order to lessen his prison time. Nonetheless, Jason maintains that he is unaware of any big figures in the drug trade. He only knows small-time crooks who do it on the side, and exposing them would essentially be wrecking their life as he would his own. As he walks out of the meeting room, John feels a larger weight of concern settle on him. With each passing day, John arranges additional meetings with Joanne Keegan, the local U.S. attorney who is actively pushing against narcotics as part of her congressional campaign. John begs for aid, detailing every detail, including his son's grave state. Joanne, on the other hand, rejects his plea, citing Jason's considerable stash as proof against leniency. John leaves her office, his spirits low, and walks straight to the prison to meet Jason. John gets a shudder as he sees Jason's declining physical condition, which is marred by scars and bruises from a savage prison thrashing. Jason, overcome with emotion, bursts into tears, recalling happier days spent with his father. He admits to being concerned about weathering a decade in such a difficult atmosphere where violence looks to be unavoidable. John is broken at witnessing his son's misery. John, deeply concerned by the visit and plagued by the sight of Jason's pain, takes a detour into the city's underworld, where drug trades take place in gloomy corners. John devises a daring strategy to track down drug dealers and turn them into the police. His strategy, however, fails tragically as the dealers brutally beat him, exposing his true objectives. The police arrive at the last second to save John from the violent encounter. When Joanne Keegan discovers John's hazardous expedition, she confronts him, underlining that even if he had succeeded in catching someone, it would not have affected Jason's case. John begs for any means to get his son's sentence reduced. Finally, Joanne gives a ray of hope by imposing a difficult condition. John must supply information on a significant dealer who possesses at least 1 kilo of the material. Only then would they contemplate pardoning Jason. Though apprehending a major drug boss will be difficult, John remains determined. He mentions possible clues among his construction crew, which includes ex-convicts and recovering addicts. Joanne reluctantly agrees to decrease Jason's sentence in exchange for John bringing in a dealer. However, it's evident that she won't be any help, leaving John to shoulder the full danger. While browsing through his staff files for prospective leads, John comes across Daniel James, a man with a history of drug usage and 2 prior distribution offenses. Daniel is currently attempting to stay sober while caring for his wife and little son in order to avoid a third crime. When John sees Daniel conclude his day's work, he offers him a ride home. They take a diversion to a cafe where John broaches a sensitive issue over coffee, fabricating a story about wanting to examine the drug trade. John requests that Daniel connect him with a major dealer so that he can enter their circles. Daniel, who was caught away by John's unexpected proposal, had previously thought of John as a sincere and diligent man. He declares his resolve to disassociate himself completely from the drug world, attempting to remove all traces of it from his life. He politely rejects to assist John, stating that he has already served 2 prison terms and want to start over. John insists, underlining that this is just the beginning. Daniel's opinions change when he considers creating a safer home for his son, and he raises his offer to a significant $222,000. Despite his earlier desire to leave, Daniel agrees, unaware that he is supporting an informant since he wants a better life for his child. Daniel, acting as a go-between, connects John with Malik, a tough local drug lord with 2 prior convictions. Given Daniel's economic difficulties, as well as his company's precarious financial state, Malik is lured by the idea of smuggling a seemingly limitless supply of drugs. John makes his case, highlighting his legitimate job within the company and the fleet of freight trucks capable of transporting large amounts of merchandise without raising suspicions. Malik agrees under the condition that both John and Daniel drive on the initial run. In order to gather evidence of all illicit transactions, John and Agent Cooper install wiretaps in preparation for the operation. As John and Daniel hit the road, traveling towards El Paso, a short distance from the border, they agreed to meet at an unassuming junkyard. However, their smuggling strategy is being probed, raising concerns about their method. John discusses his plan to hide the cocaine behind cement sacks when they meet with the drug traffickers. When the opposing gang Bajan Norte organizes an ambush, the calm environment of the junkyard quickly morphs into a war. Bullets begin to fly, forcing John and Daniel to take cover in the midst of the turmoil. They notice a potential escape route coming back to their truck in the thick of the fierce gunfight and rush into it without hesitation. John slams on the brakes, anxiously trying to get the truck out of the dangerous scenario. They drive through scrapyard heaps, smash through the front gate, and collide with numerous parked cars, unwittingly disclosing an undercover police officer hidden among them in the thick of the ongoing gang confrontation. Despite the turmoil, John and Daniel manage to flee with their vehicle loaded with contraband, surpassing the odds. Meanwhile, as Boer rises in the ranks of the cartel, he eventually meets with Juan Carlos Penta, a dangerous figure. Boer's daring and audacity amaze Penta, gaining him considerable respect inside the cartel. John and Daniel return to John's factory under cover of darkness, successfully capturing the contraband and accomplishing their task against all obstacles. To prevent any suspicions, John and Daniel switch cars. John informs Daniel that he needs a few moments in the office and that he needs to use the restroom. However, Daniel notices John slumped over a phone, which immediately raises his suspicions. Daniel pulls out a revolver, accuses John of treason and demanding answers regarding a possible wire. John tries uncomfortably to explain, telling Daniel that he was merely calling his wife. Despite his reservations and the absence of substantial evidence of deception, Daniel grudgingly releases John. Meanwhile, Agent Cooper follows them at a safe distance, attentively watching their every move. As they continue their trek, John gives over the narcotics to Malik under Cooper's watchful eye. During the conversation, Malik casually notes a planned meeting with powerful cartel leaders, offering a possibility for a larger bust. Cooper, sensing the possibility of a larger catch, decides against arresting Malik right away, preferring to keep the transaction under wraps for the time being. John confronts Joanne Keegan the next day, reminding her of their arrangement. As emotions rise, Agent Hooper intervenes, suggesting that the attempted arrest was intended to target the cartel's most powerful members. Later that day, John decides to pay a visit to his son, Jason, at his workplace. On his way, he spots his ex-wife, Sylvie, impatiently waiting in the visitor's room, oblivious to the fact that Daniel is secretly following him. John is informed by Sylvia that they will not be allowed to visit Jason for at least 2 days. She reveals that Jason is in the hospital after receiving 36 stitches. When John walks out of the jail, an irate Daniel confronts him and demands to know who he is. When confronted with Daniel's rage, John tells the truth. When Daniel discovers the truth, he gets insanely enraged, warning John of the heinous consequences if the vicious cartel discovers their betrayal, endangering the lives of their family. When John returns home, he finds his wife crying, while Malik relaxes casually by the pool. Malik is aware of the cartel's efforts to arrange a meeting. When they arrive at the meeting place, Malik is told to wait outside while John enters the conference alone, under the careful eye of the menacing cartel security. An eerie aura pervades the room as John confronts Juan Carlos Penta. Penta lays out a huge mission for John in a chillingly composed manner, carry approximately 100 million of the cartel's drug revenues over the border to Mexico. With this deadly information in hand, John quickly notifies Keegan and Cooper of the plan. While Keegan is excited about Penta's possible arrest and the ramifications from the cartel, Cooper, ever cautious, is concerned about John's safety. He suspects the cartel plans to kill John once he completes the mission. Despite Cooper's concerns, John insists on one condition: Jason's quick release following the completion of the task. Keegan, first apprehensive, agrees to John's requirements while obtaining legal advice. At his home, John confides in Daniel, revealing the reality of their difficult predicament. They concoct a daring plot to rescue themselves from the grip of the repressive government and the merciless cartel. As John begins the operation, he pulls a clever maneuver, swapping trucks to avoid Cooper's monitoring on the first truck. A cartel escort follows John to the cash-collecting place. Meanwhile, Daniel embarks on his own risky mission, stealing into Malik's residence, confronting him, and subduing his guards. During the ensuing brawl, Malik, who is critically injured and on the verge of death, gives Daniel vital information: Penta's cell phone number. This revelation has the potential to substantially alter their fortunes. Determined to alter the course of events, John phones Cooper, pleading with him to locate Penta's new phone using the number acquired from Malik's pocket. John has effectively dealt with the cartel's kingpin and the large narcotics haul with this move. Despite this, John's son, Jason, is discovered as an informant by the cartel and covertly imprisoned. As tensions increase, a high-stakes highway pursuit begins. John engaged in a fierce gunfight with intruders, clutching his shotgun fiercely. Despite being shot in the leg in the midst of the fierce crossfire, he fights through the agony. In a desperate attempt, he disables another attacker's vehicle, causing it to careen off the roadway. Cooper draws in on Penta as he drives his truck through the dangerous situation, just as the DIA searches Penta's home, only to find it empty. Penta has already fled, attempting to avoid capture. Cooper quickly evaluates a passing vehicle, suspecting Penta's escape attempt. Cooper and his men move quickly to encircle and block Penta's truck, closing in on the kingpin. The kingpin surrenders in a difficult time, seeing the futility of fighting, especially with his young kid present. Meanwhile, John is being pursued by members of the cartel as they re-engage on the highway. Despite their success in destroying John's tires, he refuses to surrender. When a second assailant attempts to injure him, John retaliates by colliding his truck with the assailant's automobile, resulting in a large explosion. However, the altercation causes John to lose control, leading his pickup to roll over. John, stunned and imprisoned, braces himself for the worst by attempting to reload his gun. But a rush of relief washes over him as he notices a man approaching, the arrival of a DIA agent stepping in to help. As dawn breaks, Jason is released from prison and quickly participates in the witness protection program with John's family, offering some respite. Daniel, on the other hand, makes a different decision, refusing the offer of witness protection. Instead, he chooses to flee with his family on his own terms, seeking a route out of the horrors of their history. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more material like this, and please press the like button to assist us. Also, if you want us to recap your favorite movie, leave a comment. Take care until the next time.